Welcome to Mommy Making Millions, the podcast. I'm your hostess, Marquitta DaShae, mompreneur mentor, author, and visionary strategist. I help mompreneurs develop balance between their businesses and their babies while attaining generational wealth, simply taking their ideas and helping them to turn it into profitable income. Join me bi-weekly as I put the spotlight on other successful millionaire mompreneurs for them to also share their best business practices and truly unveil what it looks like from the glamorous life to the deep, dark, nitty-gritty life of a mompreneur. Y'all, hey, we back, we back, we back, we back, and we back. Ooh, we back, and we back, and we back. Welcome back, Mommy Millionaires, y'all. Listen, I'm so excited to get back to the mic. Actually, I have been back recording podcasts for at least 2 weeks now, and each time I have recorded just a bomb podcast for the Mommy Millionaires. Something strange just seems to happen to my recording. So I don't know. I just feel like the enemy is mad right now because I'm getting ready to really snatch some of y'all purpose that's been on pause in this season. And I'm about to throw you into a mass production of a season of you in go mode, sis. It's time to take your purpose and turn it on play. All right. So it's time to take your purpose from pause and turn it into your purpose on play. I put this in, if y'all don't know, make sure you follow me at Marquitta DaShae on Instagram or all social media platforms. Welcome if this is your first time, y'all. Even though I have not recorded a podcast in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I will say the girls is still listening to the Mommy Making Millions podcast. And I guess I feel a way about that. So we're back doing another episode. Listen, I don't have no notes for y'all today. Why I don't have no notes? Because I feel like God gonna use me. I want to say it how I feel it. And sometimes I feel like my notes, although they do keep me really organized and I'm able to make my points and I'm able to elaborate, and I actually love being very organized. Here's the problem with that. I feel like sometimes perfectionism creates procrastination. Okay. And some of y'all need to hear this word, okay? I'm about to give y'all a word. Y'all know I love saying I'm about to give y'all a word because the enemy has really been fighting at you for quite a while. I don't know who I'm speaking to. Hashtag she's speaking to me, sis, because I know I cannot be the only one. I already knew when I tried to record the podcast that twice I tried to record this podcast, and both times the mic cut off, the computer died, the recordings wasn't recording, and I'm like, "Come on, enemy, what you after right now?" And so I feel really good that people are still finding the podcast. I feel even better knowing that, y'all, I'm in a place where I'm back recording. And that's why removing the notes and removing I didn't have time to prepare and making all of the excuses that we do as entrepreneurs and as moms and kingdom women and corporate builders and whatever is on our plate, we seldomly make time for us and the things that we need to do so that we can see the success that we want to see in this season. But we get mad because we don't put in the work, and then we get mad when the fruits don't crop and we don't have any crops in the harvest. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is I ain't got no notes this episode. So forgive me as I'm going to be fully raw and authentic as I tend to usually be, because I think that what I'm about to say is important. Purpose on pause is not going to get us to really who we're called to be. In fact, the enemy really does like when our purpose is on pause, because if our purpose is on pause, he can align us in the timing that is essential for us to get to that next season. And see, I can't even go too deep in what I'm trying to say here because that's a whole nother topic. Whew. Bars. So let's talk about this. So thank you guys for listening, tuning in to the Mommy Making Millions podcast. I want to back up just a little bit here and say shout out to all of the Mommy Making Millions that came to the 2023 Pearls and Prosperity Business Brunch in Chicago, May 7th. I think it was May 7th or 8th of earlier this year. And I was just like really amazed that I was even able to pull something off like that. Like, I know God had given me the vision that I had worked so hard behind the scenes to do, but geez, it was so hard, y'all. It took everything, and it just really took everything out of me. And not only did it take something out of me, it also birthed something new in me. And I really think that that's important, because I think that it's essentially important on this growth and this journey that many of you have been sharing with me, that I make sure that I paint the picture for you of what was actually going on with Marquitta DaShae. Because I got quiet, y'all. I went into like a summer sabbatical, summer shakedown. I was spiritually muted. Hashtag your girl was just like, God, what we doing here? And I was questioning everything that I had ever done. Let me know if you've ever done this. Like, you've seen success, you've seen a little success, you've seen some growth in your business, you've generated some revenue, you've seen and you've made a couple of strides, but it just still feels like that you haven't gone anywhere. Or you're still in that survival mentality of just trying to get through. Like, entrepreneurs, we know what it means to hustle. Like, our grind is just a little different as moms. Like, you gotta want it just that badly. That's why Mommy Making Millions is just a totally different vibe of community, because not only do we have to balance out being who we are, right? Whoever that is, when we can finally figure it out, but we're moms, we're wives, we're sisters, we're daughters, we're cousins, we're friends. We're bosses, we're CEOs, we're supervisors, we are all of the things. And then we're still trying to figure out who we are somewhere in between there. And so I think that entrepreneurship doesn't really show a lot of what I would like to call authentic leadership in the space of, we've seen a lot of network marketing, or not network marketing, excuse me. What we've witnessed is a lot of lifestyle marketing, right? And lots of times when we associate and we follow lifestyle marketing tactics or influencers, and we do not really, and they're not, and we're influenced and impacted by who they are, we begin to lose the residue and the essence of who God is calling us to be. Ooh, y'all, come on, just really just go ahead and start sending the collection plate around, because I felt the word already trying to come out. Whew. Okay, let's unpack this. Here we go. Lifestyle marketing is great. I think that the world has done a great job of doing and showing results, but we have failed at showing the process. We've failed with being the authentic version of ourselves, so that we can connect, and so that people can feel a sense of connectivity and pain and hope, um and be able to gravitate and grab on to the journey that we're taking them on. And I'm guilty of this, right? I'm so guilty of this. I remember when I did my very first episode of Mommy Making Millions podcast. I remember that I did not have but like $20 in my pocket, and I was doing and recording my very first episode off of my cell phone. Actually, my very first podcast was my boutique podcast. It was called House of Divas, 10 Success Secrets That Never Went Out of Style. Hashtag shameless plug. If you got my book, you got it. But I was desperately robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I remember early on just this podcast being something just so intimate for me. And I remember recording my very first episode off of my phone. I didn't have a podcast playbook or anything like that. Now we're seeing people that are just kind of popping up, and podcasts is really just taking off and continuing to evolve. But back then, I just knew I was hungry for what God was showing me, and I knew I just wanted to help. And so if you have listened to the Mommy Making Millions podcast up until this point, you may recall that very first episode when I talked about, and it's actually one of our top podcasts today, Geez, what is that podcast episode even called? Um, I think it's called "Start Betting on You," sis. I think that's what it's actually called, and it was actually created out of a place of pain for me. Like, um, this episode is y'all is so intimate to me right now because I'm like, when I say I really miss y'all, I did. But the episode was "Start Betting on You" this season. It was recorded January 27, 2022. Um, and I could just really cry because I could think about the sense of emotion behind what people did not see and what I tried to hide because I felt like I didn't have it all together. I hated where I lived. But anyway, I digress. I had $20 to my name and I went out and I bought this microphone from Amazon. Shout out to Amazon. And I recorded this episode and I talk about just you betting on you and doing whatever you have to do to get yourself there. But I never talked about the in between that we go through as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, as women, as Black women, minority women, for what it's really like to pursue our dreams. It's like, it's painful. Like, y'all, this is painful stuff. Like, it hurts to be successful. Um, it hurts to follow your purpose and your calling. It's going to cost you. It can cost you friends, family, relationship, businesses. It can cost you opportunity. And if you're not just built for this, it can break you because nobody really talks about the silent suffers of what we go through as CEOs, as moms. And when I had my brunch, I struggled, y'all, so very deeply because I was walking into a new version of who God had called me to be and is calling me to be, a new dimension of understanding what my purpose is and was, and understanding how to unpack it, how to navigate it, how to push forth. I didn't understand in real time what I was actually dealing with. I just knew I was going through the motions and I just knew God gave me this vision. Now, I did all the prep work behind the scenes. I had a great team. I had staff. I had volunteers. So there was a lot of preparation and organization that went on behind the scenes. But I always questioned myself, can I really do this? Am I able to pull this off? Like, this event is already like $10,000, $15,000. The budget just kept going up. And y'all, it wasn't even as perfect as I wanted it to be. Like, if I can get the version out my head that I really want to see for the Mommy Making Millions brunches to come, that is honestly the vision that I cannot wait to see manifest. But here's the thing. I nor you can skip all of the growth blocks, all of the growing pains, all of the learned lessons, all of the failed attempts, all of the life struggles, all of the heartaches, all of the tears that we've cried, all of the sleepless nights, all of the days where we really felt like giving up, the days where we got back up. We can't skip that journey and arrive at a place of success. We can't skip the motion of what it truly means to be successful. And I don't believe that anybody, any successful person has done this. You know, we hear about Steve Harvey who slept in his car. I think Steve said he was close to 40 years old before he got his big break. You know, if you really listen to his story, he talks about how he slept in his car and how he got this phone call and how he was just really, he had nothing in his pocket, not a dollar to his name. If we listen to the Sarah Jakes Roberts, if we listen to her story of how she was actually who she is today, it was birthed from a place of pain. We didn't see Sarah Jakes Roberts when she went through the heartaches from having her son and how the church looked at her, or what the backlash was, or the growing pains as a teen mom. We didn't see that. We hear about most of it, many of us, and for those that did, shout out to you guys. But we see the success and we want all of the accolades, but we don't want to feel any of the pain in between. I think about my girl Monique Rodriguez. Shout out to Monique. You know, she's been on our podcast. CEO of Mayel Organics, who's creating history as a Black woman right before our very eyes. Her business was birthed out of pain. How many of us are birthing things, solutions for other people because of the trauma that we had to endure? It's just kind of like the endurance part is what's missing out of influencer marketing or lifestyle marketing, because nobody wants to see you talk about the heartache, the pain, the messy, ooky, ugly, gutsy stuff. People want to say they know you, but can they say they knew you when? Can they say they knew you when you were, in them streets dancing, or in the clubs dancing, trying to make sure that your kids had food on the table? Can they say that they knew you when you were selling clothes out the trunk of your car? Can they say they knew you when you were in the club selling your clothes out of the bathroom? Come on, some of y'all don't really know me like you think you know me, because if you know me like you think you and say you know me, you know that I was boutique trapping. Can you say you really knew me when I struggled and sat in that food stamp line after just losing my job, talking about I am a CEO of House of Divas Boutique, having a 6-figure year on food stamps and on public aid? Can you say you knew me then? When I cried on them sleepless nights because I was trying to figure out how I was going to get the clients and how I was going to go ahead and pay for my website so that people can shop, so that I can have deposits, so that I can go live. Can you say you knew me when my lights got cut off and I was sitting in the middle of a podcast episode on live talking to people? Can you say you knew me when I was sitting there on an interview, on the phone with an interview, when these people would never hire me after losing my job in the middle of the pandemic, and then feeling like I didn't want to continue to have my boutique business, even though I had a brick and mortar store, and I watched as those very people cut my hot water off. Now I ain't got no gas. Because if you can't say you knew me then, I don't know if I really just want to solve in my face some sis, I remember when. And you telling my story from a place of only the tip of the iceberg. Only this event was successful. Only once I made it. So I think that it's important, while influencer lifestyle marketing is great, I think that we have to be honest with ourselves so that we can take people on the journey and the ride with us, so that they can not only see our growth, but so that they can see the work that God is doing through us. That's just really important. And so it creates a place of vulnerability that you have to be willing to stop playing tug of war with. And I mean playing tug of war with God and your calling and your purpose. So much so to whereas you're on one side, God is saying, come over here. There's so much more I want to do through you. Before I formed you, I knew you. And your study saying, I ain't ready yet, God. I don't know if I could be that person. And that's exactly what I was doing, because I did not see people going through what it looked like to have successful events. What did it take when you are funding these businesses out of your pocket and you don't have the business credit because you ain't there yet. See, we make and glamorize social media, but we take out the parts that I think people really need to see in order for them to get over different parts of the hurdles that maybe the hurdles and barriers that they may be facing in their own lives. And the more, guys, that I am authentic, the more authentic I became, the more resilient that I became, that's when I started really noticing that people started following me. That's when I started noticing that I had an impact and an influence, and I want you guys to be the same way. And so when I think about my brunch, I just think about everything that it took to break me. It literally took everything out of me because I did not know if I was going to be able to do it. But there was a part of me that knew that I could do it because the Bible tells us I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So although I was going and working from a place of doubt and fear and failure and what if and perfectionism because I wanted the event to look super perfect like that I envisioned it. But for a moment, I had to keep reminding myself that I could do all things through Christ. And it's just simple verses like that that allowed me to persevere. Because every time I would say, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I had to self correct. I know exactly how I'm going to do this because God is going to give me the vision for what He has called me to do. And so after this brunch, y'all, I just felt depleted. And I believe that the reason I felt depleted or burnt out, because I really don't feel as if I was fully burnt out. If I could be honest, I do believe that I was under spiritual attack in the form of my creativity because I began to feel convicted after my brunch. I didn't want to continue to just have a coaching business or be an influencer or have clients just to make sure that my bills are paid and to say, oh, I'm making $10,000 monthly, $20,000 monthly. I no longer wanted to live that type of lifestyle. I wanted to help people, women, mothers, understand and unlock their calling from a whole totally different level. And I believe that many of you are at this place in your life as well where God is really just calling you to move to another level in your life, but because you're not seeing people that are really doing it the way God has shown you, you're afraid to show up. And so I begin to do things like make a God out of success, idolize things like platforms and money and relationships and connections. And I began to get convicted, but I also felt like I was spiritually attacked in the sense of I just didn't have nothing to say. I didn't have a piece of motivation. I just began to look at my life totally different. And I was just so ready to move forward with what's next. Are you there right now? Are you questioning like, God, what is really next for me? And we have these businesses. And so I think for me, because being spiritually muted allowed me to kind of get into an intimate place with God. It allowed me to pray a little bit more. Um, it allowed me to really step away to understand who I'm called to be. And you may feel like in this season, your purpose has been on pause. And how do you begin to get back on track? How do you begin to get back in motion? How do you begin to get back into the rhythm and the cycle and the routine and the norm that you are accustomed to so that you can continue to move forward? And I hear guys saying that a lot of what we have built, and this is for a few, not everybody. I'm gonna say two things. The first group of people that I'm talking to that's listening to this podcast, God is saying, I tore it down because I'm calling you to greater. And you're in a season of your life where it is not meant for you to go back to what you're used to, the courses, what you've already built, the business, what you've already done. This is a moment where God is calling you to pivot into something greater, and only you know what that is. And I really feel this so prophetically. Like, I know I come on here and I talk to y'all all the time, but I never felt quite what I'm feeling right now when I'm saying this, because I want to make this personal. Hear me through these speakers, okay? Hear me. The second person that I'm speaking to is the perfectionist. You've been away for so long, you don't know how to start again. You've been at success for so long, you don't want to look like a failure. You don't want to seem like a failure. And you're not a failure. Allow yourself time to grow. The only person that you need to please is God. It is not by our timing, it's by his timing. So I think that it's time for you, Mommy Millionaire, to take your purpose off of pause, little by little. Like, y'all, listen, we're almost at the end of this podcast, and I didn't have not a note for none of y'all today. I actually came into my office to journal, to pray, to meditate, to have some quiet time, because I haven't really been in my office for so long. And I moved. Y'all know I'm in Houston now. And I'm still getting used to my new normal, to whereas I have to remind myself to have these moments. And the perfectionism or the perfectionist in you is saying you need to have all of these things in order to get started. Start where you are. I was online trying to find ways to, reinvent my podcast or just perfect it and make it better or enhance. And I was like, I need a new microphone. I want my microphone to kind of sit up and kind of be towards my mouth, because we will be doing live podcasts soon. Y'all know I played around with some of the live podcasts since I got the camera. I got everything. We ready to go. My hair is in a bonnet right now. We were not ready to go right now, sis. I'm just saying. But you're still getting this podcast. But I was online about to order a new microphone, and something said, see if you can get a piece for this microphone. And y'all, when I tell you, I was about to go spend another $300 on a microphone. And I looked and I saw, mine just started with $20. My last microphone cost me about $115. It just got a regular blue Yeti, I believe. Yeti microphone. And I went in my Amazon cart and I put in, I was like, I know I ordered this about a year ago. I've used it, kind of stopped using it because it wasn't what everybody else was using. At one point, it was what everybody else was using, which is why I bought it. And we have this problem of thinking we just need everything to make it perfect. We feel like we need to have what everybody else has. And I looked at this microphone, guys. I looked at the extender, the stand that I have, and I needed nothing. Everything that I required, I already had. And you already have everything that you need at the level that you're on. So why do you feel like you need another tool to make you successful when God is telling you to do it from where you are? It does not have to be perfect. Y'all, this microphone is like perfect right now. I am not lying to y'all. Like, when we go live, I'm gonna have to really just show y'all. Maybe I'll do like a behind the scenes or something. But if we keep investing in resources and tools, and we don't take the time to use the things that we've already invested in. What a waste. So it was important for me to come on here to do this episode. And I'll give you 3 things to help you take your purpose off of pause. As I do feel like to give you some tactical, tangible tips that you can utilize. And if this was good, y'all know, make sure y'all share this, okay? But what I'll say is, let's take your purpose off pause. Get back to the drawing board, okay? Go back to your vision. Continue to be that visionary. Get back into an intimate place of knowing who you are called to be. If you failed, continue to rise out of the ashes like the phoenix you are. Because ain't no losses in success, only lessons. And if you're someone where you're feeling like God is calling you to pivot, tear it all down and rebuild, then I want you to get into an intimate place. Number 1, get into an intimate place with God. Maybe some of you, he's calling you to move. I transitioned from Chicago down to Houston. It was hard, y'all. When I was not talking on social media, when I was trying to figure out who God was calling me to be, it was so hard. Because transition is not easy. Transition is hard. Transition is uncomfortable. Transition is almost like a barrier to what you have known, but it's also the beginning of what you're desiring to know. It's the unknown that you're after, but it's the unknown that's keeping you where you are. And if you for a second think that you're better off where you are, then you're selling yourself short, because there's so much greater in store for you. And it's not going to feel good. It's not going to look good. It's not going to be easy. You're probably going to feel like, again, grief. But after the rain comes the sunshine. After your season of transitioning, you will be amazed at how God is going to use you in this season and blow your mind, Mommy Millionaire. But you have to say yes to your call to be. So 1, get into an intimate place with God. Fast, meditate, pray. Ask him, who do you need to be in this season? Who is he calling you to be in this season? 2, identify and accept your boldness. Write down 10 things that, I'm not even going to say 10, I'm going to say 3 things that you need to do that are in alignment with who God has called you to be. Write these things down on a piece of paper. And if it's 10, it's 10. If it's 3, it's 3. Right at the top of the goal, on the left side, things I need to let go. On the right side, things I need to start doing. And I want you to do less of the things on the left side of your paper and more of the things on the right side of the paper on a consistent basis. What does that look like? Take those things, top 3 or top 10 or somewhere in between, on the right side, things I need to start implementing, and start putting structure to it. Start putting some strategy to it. Who do I need? What do I need to do? Wake up earlier. Start getting myself earlier. Start being on time. Start spending more time with God. Well, what does that look like? Put action. Hold yourself accountable. And I can't wait to drop my new course, because that is something that we definitely do inside of the new course. And I'll kind of talk through and walk through that a little bit more. But write those things down. What about your life right now that you're so afraid of letting loose? Okay. And number 3 is start where you are. Stay humble to who you are called to be. Take one step at a time. If y'all notice, I've been more active on social media lately. I haven't really been active on social media in the last 6 months like that. I didn't care to be. Start getting back into your new normal, because where you are right now is not where what you're used to. So stop trying to use the same strategies and tactics from a different season of your life to work in the season that you're currently in. Those same tactics and strategies and measures are not going to help you for who God has called you to be, because you're at a different level. That's like with me and my brunch. I had to get more organized because I was growing, I was developing. I had to do things differently. The strategies of me trying to put my event together and me, trying to do it all, it wasn't about me. And make the people that's closest to you a part of your vision, a part of your circle, a part of your dynamic, because they need to also see who you are trying to become, so that they can help you on days where you feel like giving up on yourself. Take action. Don't try to reinvent the wheel every day, but I want you to fall back in love with who you are. I want you to fall back in love with that ambitious mindset of who God called you to be. It's time to take your purpose off of pause. If you're feeling like you have a creative block, I want you to fast. I want you to pray. I want you to meditate and really get into an intimate place with God and see where He wants you to be. We have to think these things through a little differently, because we're at a different level. So it's time to level up. Taking your pause, your purpose off of pause is going to seem impossible if you allow your past to hold you hostage from who you are called to be. One day at a time. And I feel this too for somebody. I don't know who it is. It's time for you to move. I don't know where you're moving. I see boxes. If it's a job, if it's a city, if it's a relationship, if it's a business industry, start packing, because you're getting ready to move, sis. Start packing. Y'all, if we could just like really tag me in y'all boxes that y'all pack. I mean, let's get rid of some stuff so that we can make room for new things. When I was moving, it was so many things that I didn't want to let go. And then I was convicted. I was like, how can I keep hold of all these things and expect God to bless me with greater if I'm still holding on to the old stuff? Y'all, start getting rid of stuff left and right after I looked at it like that. I was so happy to give away things. And I will never forget this woman that came, and my husband was like, you giving this away? You throwing that away? I was throwing out ring lights. I was just throwing out everything. Boutique clothes, everything. My husband was like, well, you can sell it. I didn't want to sell it. The guy didn't say sell it. He just said give it away. And this woman came and I said, I'm going to put my trash out because I want my trash I want somebody to be able to come and get this, and I don't necessarily want it to go to trash. And I'll never forget this lady came and knocked on our door, and she said, can I go through your trash? I was so happy, y'all. I heard her when my husband answered the door. I was in the back of the house. I was so happy. It was like she was at a little shopping mall. I was going out there showing her what was all out there because I wanted her to get the good stuff. And just the joy that came over me, because your junk is somebody else's treasure. You know, it could be an old course. It could be anything that you're holding on to that's not serving you of any value, but can be a benefit to somebody else. I don't know who this is for. But that lady went through my stuff and she said, I just got an apartment. She said, I never walked this way. I just came to visit my mom. I never walked this way. Something said, go down this block. This woman just told me she moved in her house. She had absolutely nothing. Y'all, I was able to bless her. Furniture. Everything. God has so much more for you. If you only let go and allow him to lead. When I transitioned to Texas, I don't talk about walking into corporate leadership anymore, going back into corporate. I never would have thought in a million years I would be back into a corporate office. So many doors opened for me the moment I transitioned, and I came out of the transition. The day that I transitioned and moved out of our house, our family was depleted. My children were tired. My husband and I, we looked like somebody just came and put a whooping on us, y'all. I will never forget that. But a week after, when I tell you the doors that opened up for my husband and I, his Sprinter van business, we were getting contracts that we had not even prepared for. My job offer. God will open doors for you. And in that season of your transition, of you pausing because you're afraid of what the world sees, let go. Let go. All right, Mommy Millionaires, that wraps up another episode of the Mommy Making Millions podcast. Listen, your reviews are everything. I mean, they really let me know on days where I really be feeling like giving this thing on up, child. Should I keep going? I sit back and I'll read all of the reviews. So if this podcast, this episode has helped you in any kind of way, please drop a review and let me know. Share this podcast with your community. Screenshot it. Put it on social media, y'all. Like, let's really go up. And I just want to let you know, if you haven't already done so, be sure to click the link for the show notes, because I want you to have access to your 2023 free strategic planning checklist. If you don't already have one, this is something that I'm going to be gifting to you. And again, I just want to say thank you. I just can't say thank you enough, but I want y'all to know I appreciate y'all. Until next time, be good.